bandits and terrorists are helping Nigeria to restructure. Northern Nigeria will fall because it has already fallen. There are various areas in northern Nigeria now that is not governable because the middle belt in the country now is now a killing field. The governors are actually asking for state-controlled militias, almost like a state army. So Rivers State might wake up one day after it's very powerful with the state police and say, well, we don't like to share our oil with Nigeria. Once Abuja is not functioning, if Abuja is surrounded, by default, the country splits and the north goes and the south goes. Hello and welcome. I just want to bear my mind on how I think bandits and terrorists are helping Nigeria to restructure. They are helping people like Nnamdi Kanu, Sunday Igboho, Tony Nadi. They are helping all the people that want to change this country faster than any of them can. Let me just explain it to you. You see, Nigeria is practicing federalism in such a way that power is concentrated at the center. So everybody that wants to get anything done in Nigeria needs to go to the center. But of recent, we begin to see that the center cannot work. The reason being that, first of all, our military is not that big. We are a country of about 200 million people, and we have less than 500,000 soldiers spread across the 36 states of the Federation. In one news I saw early this year, they said about 100,000 or thereabout bandits are operating in northern Nigeria. So only half of the country alone, we need all our soldiers there, but we can't even spread it because it's too thin. We've been recording successes recently. I've been looking at the news where Nigerian army have been penetrating Boko Haram enclave. But all of us know that those areas are not governable. They are just declaring holding victory. It's not like it's permanent. After a while, the soldiers will have to leave. And after a while, those people they killed or those people that ran away will come back and take over those places. Because naturally, those places are just bush and forest. We have areas in these countries that already are not governable. So what are the solutions? The first solution is either we grow our army, maybe raise it up to 1 million, 2 million people. But I guess we may not do that because we don't have the finances maybe to fund the army to that extent. If we do, we have not started working towards it. Secondly is to grow the police and still make it federal. But the issue now is this, and this is the pattern that most agitators have been fighting for, is that we don't need everything to come from Abuja to save Nigeria, because Nigeria is actually too big and too divided for that kind of centralized leadership. And most of the people fighting for this thing have either advocated their own solutions. So the challenge we have in Nigeria is not that we don't know our problem. We know our problem. The problem is, what is the solution? One of those solutions has been to weaken the center and strengthen the edges. Now Nigerian governors have become the people that are championing for that. And one of the ways to champion for that is to break down security from the reserve list into the concurrent list. So Nigeria runs a three-tier system where we call reserve list, concurrent list, and maybe the local list, the one states can do. Since the period of Obasanjo down to Goodluck Jonathan, to Yar'Adua, to Buhari, and now to Tinubu, we've been taking things from the reserve list and moving them down to the state little by little. So, for example, electricity was in the federal list. Recently, electricity has been moved to what state can generate. Next, now, we are talking about policing. Now, state police have already existed, but what's different about this particular state police is this. This state police we are looking at is not your ordinary state police that just go around with pump action and pistol. Governors are clamoring for state police that will lead to certain things. Now, this is what I think it will lead to. One is that we are going to have a tribal police force. It means that Benue State will have a police force that has AK-47s, that have some assault rifles that should match the power of the militants. Now, if we go and create a state police, maybe the law of the state police comes out and they say state polices can only carry pump action and pistol and go and call federal police when there is a problem. That means nothing has changed. And that's not what the governors are asking for. The governors are actually asking for state-controlled militias, almost like a state army. And once a state police begins to carry M16 or AK-47, and they must match the firepower of the bandits for them to operate. If not, we are just sending them to be killed, because the bandits are actually operating with war machine guns. So let's say, for example, we focus on creating the state police. What we're actually creating, in essence, and the federal government is aware of this, and that's why they've been silent on this for so long. What we are creating is independent states. Because I'll give you an example. If Kano has a state police with AK-47 and guns, Kano is already enforcing Sharia law. So it just goes to show that Kano state police will definitely enforce Sharia law with AK-47 and guns. The state police in Enugu State, for example, will have to enforce civil law. So definitely, if Kano and Enugu State has problem, the laws there would differ, and they all both have their policing, and based on how the insurgents is in that area, that's how the state police will be strong. So I'll give you an example. The state police in Zamfara would definitely need rocket-propelled grenade launchers. Why? Because the state police in Zamfara is actually trying to fight conventional wars. It's no longer banditry. They are trying to reclaim land. Unlike the state police, let's say in Imo State or Abia State, depending, they may not need that kind of equipment, but they can decide to equip themselves based on the fact that the state police in Zamfara is equipping themselves. Now, this is what will happen. What will happen is this. Nigeria will begin to lose control in the center, because if the states are very powerful, it will inevitably lead to more things going down to the concurrent list. Something like states controlling their own natural resources. So Rivers State might wake up one day after it's very powerful with the state police and say, well, we don't like to share our oil with Nigeria, or we need to change the sharing formula for Nigeria. And this will define the basis of what we are talking about in Nigeria. So in essence, what maybe Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Buhari and all these people that are clamoring for restructuring of Nigeria cannot achieve. They wanted to create local militias, redo the constitution, have some kind of autonomy. The bandits are helping Nigerians to achieve it faster than that, because right now, the more the center is weakened, the more things leave the purview of the federal government, the more the states will have control. And once money stops flowing to the center, especially with regards to state police, because once we have state police, I will have to pay tax to my state police for it to function. That means either the federal government will be getting all the taxes, or the state will be motivated to ensure that more taxes paid to them. Now, let's say, for example, this state police thing does not work. Let's say the current status quo remains, or they pretend to have state police, but we don't do anything about it. So what happens is this, in essence. What happens is that northern Nigeria will fall, because it has already fallen. There are various areas in northern Nigeria now that is not governable. And we begin to look like Mali or Myanmar or Burkina Faso, where large areas in the north are controlled by non-state actors. People pay taxes there, they live their life. Then in the south, you will now have something that looks like a country, organized, but in our own case, it's a little bit different. Why? Because the middle belt in the country now is now a killing field. So in our own case, it's not just the north that would be isolated. The middle belt also might become a larger killing field that will lead to more instability. And once Abuja is not functioning, if Abuja is surrounded, by default, the country splits, and the north goes and the south goes. This might happen if there are 2 or 3 scenarios. One is increased famine, due to the fact that the people in the middle belt can't go to the farms, or many people in the north can't farm, and this will lead inevitably to more strife within the country. Secondly is the military not being able to be paid or motivated right. This is already showing cracks in the military, where a lot of soldiers are complaining about both low morale, poor payment, poor equipment. Once the military begins to feel like they have been abandoned, these 2 scenarios can lead to Nigeria fracturing. For me, I don't think Nigeria fractures into a war. I feel like Nigeria fractures into the north being an ungoverned area for terrorists, and being in a perpetual state of war permanence. So there is always fighting going on there. And the south begin to break away in such a way that the southerners stop caring about what's happening in the north as a whole and focus on building their own country. If they just do that and change their currency, then the country as a whole begins to disintegrate. These are the thoughts in my head. I'm looking at this as an inevitable part of the future for this country, because as Nigerians, we need to sit down and think about what future holds for our country. My proposed solution, based on my thought process, is this. One, if the state policy thing works, it has to work at a regional level. So various states will have to synchronize, align themselves together, and be able to tackle the menace within their region. And also, the states within the middle belt will be the major battle zone. And I feel like the federal government should deploy more people within that section and the Northwest. And after that is done, the constitution of Nigeria will have to be adjusted. Why? Because many states and many regions will become powerful and autonomous. So because of that, more things will have to be ceded by the central government into regions or state governments. And Nigeria may function and still be alive in the next 50 or 100 years if we have a weakened center and strong regions or strong states. And those states will not see themselves subordinate to the centers, but as partners with the center. If that works miraculously somehow, we might still be able to maintain our currency, and we'll also be able to maintain whatever is left of our perceived unity. So this is my thought process for now. Thank you. Might change my mind in the future. Bye.